We begin on this Tuesday afternoon with the story that is so big in the metro area. We're talking about homelessness. There's new data showing an overall increase in homelessness across the Denver metro area, but it also shows a 31% decrease for veterans experiencing homelessness.
The Metro Denver Homeless Initiative just released the numbers last week. It comes from the annual point-in-time count data, which is one night snapshot of who's experiencing homelessness on any given night in January. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon joins us now. Courtney, advocates say this is good news, but also say, as expected, there's still so much more work to be done.
Yeah, those advocates are saying it's important to note that on that one night, data showed overall homelessness is up 15% since the start of the pandemic. This snapshot only counted 6,884 people, and the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative says that number is closer to about 31,000 people who are unhoused throughout the course of the year. A lot of people who are experiencing homelessness in Denver are often the most vulnerable.
You have a lot of people who have been through traumatic traumas that stop them from excelling.
Nakeith Baldwin
I'm just out here.
has been homeless on and off for the last 10 years.
I believe if people had a house, car, and an occupation, everything would be okay.
He's glad to hear veteran homelessness has gone down 31% in the metro area since 2020, but knows a lot more people need help too.
Yeah, I think everybody deserves a chance, even a second chance, you know.
The fact that veteran homelessness has gone down 31%, it's like a kid brings home his report card full of D-minuses, except he got a B in shop.
Benjamin Dunning is an organizer with Denver Homeless Out Loud.
You know, we got to do something about all those D-minuses we're dealing with. Okay, we got a B, but it's kind of an outlier.
He says veterans have long been ignored and they deserve the support. But he says for everyone to succeed, housing needs to be less expensive.
We got to build budget housing, stuff that's below market rate. So we need developers who are smart enough to be more focused on housing people than the resale value of what they built 5 years down the line.
As we see rents continue to climb, we see more and more people unable to make rent.
Britta Fisher is the chief housing officer for the city and county of Denver.
When we think about what can we each do, I think about landlords and their willingness to accept housing vouchers. That is needed for this type of resource to work.
She says Veteran Affairs supported housing vouchers, or VASH, are a big reason why veteran homelessness is going down. Fisher hopes the same thing can happen for other demographics as well, as the overall number of people experiencing homelessness continues to increase.
That we can house people experiencing homelessness. We can do it together as a community.
Dunning says while it's good veteran homelessness is down 31% in the 7-county metro area, newly homeless youth is up 59%, and Native Americans experiencing homelessness is up 46%, to name a few. He says the good news is the data on veterans is proof it can be done for other demographics too.
Boy, those other demographics, those numbers, Courtney, are alarming as well, that those numbers have gone up so dramatically.
Right, yeah, and last year they weren't able to do this point-in-time count. They do that yearly on a random night in January, but since 2020 we've seen, like you said, those numbers have increased about 15% for overall homelessness.
We know the city's working on it. We'll have those stipends that start going. They'll enroll families next month, and they're taking it seriously, so hopefully it'll make a dent with all of these programs coming up.
Definitely a lot of things going on in the community. I think I forget the name, the income-based project that you're talking about, Alex, hopefully will help as well. But a lot of these advocates are saying, you know, we need more affordable housing. That's the big thing that they're asking for.
All right, Courtney, thanks.
Should an unborn baby have constitutional rights?
Well, that question is one that the Supreme Court has decided not to answer. The High Court announced it will not wade into the so-called fetal personhood debate. A Catholic group and 2 pregnant women who've since given birth sued the state of Rhode Island, asking for clarification on whether fetuses should have constitutional rights. In May, that state dismissed the case based on Roe v. Wade, but when that was overturned, they then asked the Supreme Court to take up the case. The court today did not explain its choice to stay out of the debate.
Also happening today, Adnan Syed, the subject of the first viral serial podcast, is a free man after 23 years in prison.
Prosecutors made it official today, dropping all the charges against him, so he won't face another trial. Syed was serving a life sentence in prison for the 1999 kidnapping and murder of his high school ex-girlfriend, Heyman Lee. He was 17 at the time of her death and has maintained his innocence. The case gained so much attention from the podcast Serial, which did raise questions about Syed's conviction and his legal representation. After their own reinvestigation, prosecutors requested that Syed's conviction be vacated last month.
Turning to the weather as we take a live look outside. A warm day, but lots of clouds out there as we approach here on a Tuesday. Danielle, you said be another warm fall day.
75, 76 degrees out at DIA, not bad. But yes, as you mentioned, those clouds starting to push in. That's the cold front that is making its way here to the Front Range. It's been kicking up the winds all kinds around the metro area and helping to drop those temperatures ever so slightly. This is our vantage point from Cheeseman Park. We're looking downtown. Kind of see those clouds in and around the high country too. A bit of a mountain wave cloud set up across the urban corridor and then now stretching off to the far eastern plains. Where's the rain? Where's the snow with this cold front? We're really not going to see much. Maybe a couple of isolated little showers up around the Central Mountains, Berthoud Pass. Otherwise, here for the metro area, maybe we'll sneak out a couple of sprinkles later tonight, but that really is going to be about it. These winds pretty strong. Look at Laramie, 51-mile-per-hour wind gusts, 20, 30-mile-per-hour speeds across the far northeastern plains. We do have a red flag warning in place until 7 o'clock tonight. Temperatures, like I said, slightly cooling off, but still pretty pleasant out there in the lower 70s here for the metro area. 80s still around Ray through Lamar, Springfield with some 60s up in the high country. So still I'll be monitoring that high fire danger as we look off to the east. Tomorrow temperatures slightly cooler, but still pretty comfortable. And then looking ahead toward the weekend, a few changes on the way. I'll have that full forecast in about 10 minutes.
Some sad news to report out of Hollywood this afternoon. Award-winning actress Angela Lansbury has died.
Lansbury's family telling people that she died peacefully at her home in Los Angeles today. She was 96 years old. She did have an extraordinary career in the entertainment industry that spanned decades and covered everything from movies to the stage and, of course, television. She received her first Oscar nomination for her first movie role. That was in 1944 film Gaslight. She's possibly, though, best known for her role on TV as America's favorite sleuth, Jessica Fletcher, in Murder, She Wrote, and as the motherly Mrs. Potts from the Disney animated film Beauty and the Beast. Lansbury did accept an honorary Oscar in 2013 to go with 5 Tony Awards. We're going to have much more on the life of Angela Lansbury. That's coming up at 4:30.
Today is National Coming Out Day, and coming up next, we have 9 News medical expert Dr. Pyle Coley in studio.
And she's going to join us talking about the health benefits in coming out.